Welcome to the Numisphere, a podcast diving into all things in the sphere of numismatics, talking the latest news and trends of precious metals, coins, currency, and more. Let's start the show.
Hey, this is Colin with Numisphere, and today I'm here at the New Hampshire Coin and Currency Expo in Manchester, New Hampshire. And I'm here with dealer Matthew Tavory of World Coin South FL. And today I'm actually going to be interviewing him on his experiences in numismatics. So, Matthew, if you'd like to take it away and, fully introduce yourself and talk about your background.
Hi, thanks for having me here, Colin. Yeah, my name is Matthew Tavory. I am a coin dealer from South Florida, particularly West Palm Beach. My specialty is shipwreck coins, siege coins, and other coins of historical backgrounds. I am a history student at Florida Atlantic University. Go Owls! Ooh. You might know us from our crazy Final Four run. And I am also a former coin grader with Numismatic Guarantee Corporation. And fortunately, I left that job at right beginning of COVID in March of 2020. I went full-time dealing on my own. And I just really love coins and history.
Yeah, so how did you get started as a collector in the numismatic world?
How did I get started? So I started off when I was young, about 9. And my father has one of those old 1990s Dodge conversion vans, and he likes to, whenever he gets change from whatever he was doing, going through whatever drive-through, he just put it on the floor. And I found a 1936 wheat penny. I still have that coin. It's my first coin ever. And that's how I really started getting the coin collecting. And I just went down the rabbit hole naturally on my own. Didn't have any other family members who were collectors or anything, and I just naturally shifted. When I first started, I was a typical young kid collecting. I did U.S. coins, wheat pennies, 90% Morgan dollars, your standard young kid stuff. And then really as I started getting older, and I'm a very big history buff, I started wait, these coins are very much tied into history, and I can actually collect history that way. That's how I kind of shifted my focus from your standard low-end U.S. collector to a more advanced world collector and an actual historian. Getting my degree in history from Florida Atlantic University. I'm actually about to graduate from there in a couple months. And it's a wonderful combination of my two hobbies and passions.
Yeah, the shift into history and being able to collect almost just living history. You can hold these coins in your hand. It's similar to me with ancients. It's the same path. So getting into world coins, where did you first start, really?
Where I first started with world coins, it was more just about the history and the story behind it. It's where I kind of got into shipwreck and siege coins. Those two, you're literally holding a coin from the actual shipwreck. I got one here. It's an 8 real recovered from the HMS Lutine. That's not literal history there. What are we doing here? It's literally from the shipwreck. How can you get more literal holding history in your hand than that?
Yeah. So, and I know you mentioned siege coins too. So I want to ask a little bit about the siege coins and why some of these were struck, or really just what are they?
Well, siege coins is when they're mainly minted between the 1500s and up to the 1800s. There's a couple after then, but it was basically when these armies would be basically mercenaries, and they'd be hired by a kingdom. Let's say France and Spain are going to war, or Spain and the Netherlands are going to war. You'd hire German or Scottish or English mercenaries to go fight your battles for you. And what would happen, this happened a lot of time during the Dutch 80 Years' War of Independence, is they would go ahead, the Spanish army would lay siege to a city. And they go ahead and basically sit there forever and wait till they starve you out. Or sometimes they go attack the walls if they couldn't wait so long. But the defenders inside, they're not Dutch soldiers, they're mercenaries. They want to be paid. So they go to the commanding general of the garrison and goes, pay us or we throw open the gates and we'll let them pay us. So it's pretty, when it's either pay your soldiers or get slaughtered by the opposing army outside, I think it's a pretty easy decision.
Yeah, there's not much of a choice there.
It's not much of a
choice at all.
No, it's not at all. And so what they would often do is during different sieges, take example the siege of Newark up in England, they would confiscate all the silverware and plates from the citizens, and they would go ahead, melt them down into sheets, and they would cut out little triangles that would make the coins called clippies, and they would go ahead and stamp them and say, this is your pay. Now, obviously, this is, for example, take a 9 pence, for example. It does not have actually 9 pence worth of silver in it.
So like an IOU?
It's almost like an IOU. It's a promise. It helps you motivate to fight because you'll get your real value after the siege. You want your real value in coins? Go ahead and successfully defend the city. There was some siege, like the Siege of Leiden in 1574. They went ahead and actually made siege coins out of Catholic Bibles. I'm not even joking about that.
That's interesting.
And they actually skipped metal entirely, went to Catholic Bibles, and it was done to actually piss off the very Catholic Spanish army on the outside of the gates. And it's a great way to make sure your soldiers don't surrender because they're going to get slaughtered as well.
Yeah.
And the funny part actually with that particular siege is those coins were only in circulation for like a month before they had to be counter-stamped because there are so many counterfeits, contemporary counterfeits, because your barrier of entry is, well, you all converted from Catholicism to Protestantism. You don't care about the Catholic Bible anymore. Rip out the pages, put it into a circle planchet, glue it together, and strike it on both sides. So they started counter-stamping it. Then there would be counterfeits with the counter-stamp showing up. So they're like, okay, forget this. We'll switch to silver and copper coins.
Like actual money.
Actual money, yeah.
So I understand you actually have some siege coins here, too.
Yes.
You mind showing a few?
Sure.
of them?
So we have one here. This one's actually kind of hilarious for reasons that will become obvious here. Got 1709 Siege of Tournai soul that was counterstamped on a copper liège liard, and it's graded NGC Poor 1.
I mean, that's like lowest.
No,
lowest
that is
possible.
the lowest grade possible. And actually, at one point, it was the finest certified, the lowest grade possible, and the only one certified.
The Poor 1 top pop.
The Poor 1 top, I know. And I ruined it. I actually graded another one of these that ended up grading good 4.
All good things must come to an end.
I know. I kind of still get a good laugh at this one. And basically what would often happen during the siege is they would take, so a liard is worth less than 2 stuvers, so they take a worn-out liard and they counter-stamped it to make it 2 stuvers, and it promises after the siege you'll get your real value in silver. And I'll hold it up for the camera here. This one's a lot nicer than a Poor 1. NGC kind of... The counterstamp grading system is kind of a little ridiculous, and we can talk about that later. But this is a lot nicer. This is not a Poor 1. It's like to create Poor 1 with a counterstamp that is AU weak.
Yeah.
I mean,
it seems like a very complex field to try.
Not even complex. It's just kind of oxymoronic. Like a Poor 1 and an AU counterstamp. Like, yeah, the host coin is worn, but don't grade the host coin. Grade the counterstamp. The counterstamp's there. Counterstamp's an AU counterstamp. I just kind of laugh at that one.
Yeah.
And another one I have here, this one's unfortunately is not an original, it's a restrike, but there are no originals left of this one. This is a 1534 Siege of Munster medieval communist religious sex death cult siege coin that only has Bible quotes on it.
That is a line and a half.
Say that 3 times in a row fast. And I'd like to say I have a good friend who works for APMEX, the biggest bullion company in America. He's supposed to take a shot every single time I say those words in that order. So Zach, I'd like you to take your shot of vodka right now.
And that's a $2, yeah?
Yeah, it's a $2, yes. So this is, the Germans also often know this as a Vita Teufa Thaler, or Anabaptist Thaler. And what happened is during the German Reformation, Anabaptists, particularly under Jan van Leyden and Jan Matthias, proclaimed that there will be the rapture coming and the devil is coming to earth, and there will be a new Jerusalem, and it'll be based in Munster. And they basically took over the town council, threw out the Catholic bishop, and declared that it was all private property was outlawed. Polygamy was mandatory, because yes, or straight from God. Hey, you didn't know it, straight from God. Money was outlawed, even though they minted coins. They minted coins for outside trade with the outside world. Yes, it was just, and I think there was one where it was Jan Matthias. The citizens are getting restless because of the siege by the archbishop. They've been under siege for like a year at this point in Easter of 1534. And he goes, God has spoken to me, and he has said that we will be delivered from the siege. So then he actually literally goes out the city gates by himself and is like trying to split the bishop's army like the Red Sea kind of thing. is like, you shall go away, and then of course he gets run over by the cavalry and killed. So Jan van Leyden goes in and takes over and takes his wife, and that's where the polygamy part started.
Why are they restrikes if it's such a controversial issue?
Yeah, I'm getting there. So eventually the bishop took the city because, starving peasants versus professional mercenaries. Who's going to win? I'm going to say professional mercenaries 99.9% of the time. And they went ahead and melted down all the originals. I think there's a very few left, and they go for a very stupid amount of money in German auction houses. And all the original founders, including Jan Matthias, they were executed by being ripped apart with hot irons. And their bones were put into a cage, and the cage was put on the cathedral tower. And the cages are actually still hanging in Munster Cathedral Tower to this day.
I assume the bones are long gone?
The bones are long gone, unfortunately. I think they were disintegrated or buried in the 1800s.
Okay.
Which I know, as much as when I was in Munster, I'd love to go ahead and see the bones of dead Anabaptists. But all these were melted down. But then in the 1640s, when the Holy Roman Empire, France, Sweden, Spain, and the Netherlands were all trying to negotiate the end of the 30 Years' War and the Peace of Westphalia, these were restruck for delegates there, and 2 Thaler was the largest denomination then, and these were given out to very high-ranking members. My memory is correct. I believe these were given out to the highest-ranking members of the Swedish delegation.
Okay.
But that's why it says restrike, and it's a signed restrike. In the back it says P at the bottom. There are some unsigned restrike versions known, and fortunately they're not original. They're just restrikes. It's whether the Midmaster was lazy or not and decided to add his own initial to the die.
But still, in their own way, they're still very important to history.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They still have their own historical importance. With the Treaty of Westphalia.
Yeah, and these are struck from the original dies from 1534.
Oh, they kept them around?
Oh yeah, they kept them around. I don't know why the bishop did not destroy the original dies, but they didn't. So
did they just use what they had?
They just used what they have. It's it befuddles me sometimes, but you know what?
Yeah.
Don't say history never gave you anything.
Yeah. And I see on the table here you have another coin of a similar one, but it looks like a medallion rather than a Thaler.
Yes, we have here a 1672 Netherlands medal, and you see put on there, the De Witt brothers murdered. Well, I jokingly know this as a more interesting title. Medal commemorating the time the Dutch murdered and ate their prime minister and his brother in organized cannibalism.
That's another line and a half.
Yes, and I said organized cannibalism, which I guess imagine organized cannibalism in your head there. If you've imagined that before ever hearing about this coin, I'd say you might have some other problems.
Yeah. So what's the story behind the Witt brothers?
So leading up to the 1660s, Netherlands was in a very contentious place. They had basically what was effectively an elected monarchy under the House of Orange. And when William II died, his son was very young, and de facto he was called the stadtholder of Holland. He was basically the de facto prime minister then. Johan de Witt basically passed a couple laws that said, well, my province in the Netherlands doesn't recognize the House of Orange as being in charge anymore. So he basically almost kind of abolished the monarchy, kind of. It was like this weird limbo situation. And initially he was very successful and happy with people who liked him because he won the Anglo-Dutch War against England for trade rights regarding the Navigation Acts in England. But then in 1672, there's an event in the Netherlands history called the Rampjaar, or Disaster Year in Dutch. And it involved England, France, and the bishops of Munster and Cologne all invading the Netherlands at the same time and absolutely destroying the country. And Johan de Witt was forced to resign from office. And his brother, who was I believe he was the chief constable of Amsterdam or Holland at the time, was arrested. So he goes to prison to go visit his brother and get him out of prison. And a mob forms, and the guards don't protect him or his brother, and they capture them and kill them and string them up and start cooking their limbs in organized cannibalism, not because they were hungry, but because it was meant to insult their memory and damn their memory.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, there's a famous photo of this where they're strung up on the pole and their guts are sliced open.
They're like an engraving?
No, real painting.
Oh, a painting of it, yeah.
I forget who painted it. I think it may have been Rembrandt.
Really?
Yeah, it was. You can just Google De Witt murdered, and you can't miss the painting.
And then they made a medal to commemorate such an action.
And they made a medal to commemorate, and my Dutch is a little bit rusty, but I think the reverse says here, the two De Witt brothers were violently done in as they lived in the Netherlands in the year of the disaster.
Ooh.
Sorry, my Dutch is...
Better than mine, which I don't know any at all.
My Afrikaans is a lot better, but that's hillbilly Dutch.
So moving on from that, that's like very interesting, and you have the huge NGC holders.
Oh,
with them
yes,
too.
it is. Yes, this one is graded AU58 by NGC. This one's an oversized PC holder, it's graded AU55.
Yeah, I wanted to get into, so speaking of, grading companies, your time as the NGC grader and, slowly shift into the Spanish colonial shipwreck stuff. But, first I want to hear your experience as an NGC grader.
It was definitely a wonderful experience. It's definitely something different. I was hired basically almost straight out of high school. I was went there for the test grading and did well enough. They offered me a job. Originally started off in Silver Eagles and grading Silver Eagles all day, 69, 70, see them in my nightmares. I joke, I need a t-shirt. It's like, I survived whatever roller coaster. I survived Silver Eagles season at NGC. I remember when all the Silver Eagles first come out from the mint, beginning of the year, everyone stops what they're doing, or almost everybody stops what they're doing and starts grading monster boxes of Silver Eagles. Tubes with coins and 20 coins in them, and there's 500 coins in a monster box. And I think at one point I was grading them about a monster box every 40 minutes to an hour. Yes, and off camera, say they're going, wow, you poor man, you poor man. And I was not, and I think someone was able to do it accurately up to like 30 minutes maybe. Monster box. You're basically looking at a coin. You're going, do I see any scratches, any marks? 69 or 70. Very rarely are you really going to get a Silver Eagle, especially fresh straight from the mint. It literally was, the boxes were still cold to the touch because they were sent straight from the mint on an 18-wheeler hauling ass down to Florida. And I mean, it's 69, 70. I've heard rumors where basically they put 10,000 Silver Eagles on a tray. This half is 69, this half is 70. I wish that rumor was true. That would have saved me so much grading.
No, but they actually had to take their time with it.
They actually grade each single one. I know I hear it all the time, that rumor where basically 69 this half, 70 that half. Yeah, no. I wish. I so wish, but no. Would have saved me a lot of just nightmares of Silver Eagles.
So how'd you escape?
So eventually I got moved over to quality control finalizing, and basically my job then is I see every single U.S. and world submission, and I'd be making sure I was the last check before I went out the door, is the grade at reasonable and everything. I wasn't really changing grades too much at that point. If I called a coin a 63 and I was in a 62 holder, I'm not going to change it. But if I call a coin VF and it's in a XF holder, I'll flag it. It's send back grades hey, this is what I grade this. You confirm in the grade will either go, yes, I agree with you, no, I agree, I don't agree, then they'll send it off. Making sure everything's accurate information wise, there's no coins getting mixed up in holders, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Which unfortunately sometimes does happen. I mean, you send in 1875 $half, 1876 $half sometimes.
Sometimes mistakes happen.
Some mistakes happen. We're only human.
Yeah.
Well, some of us are. I don't know. Some people in coins sometimes, I wonder.
I don't know. A lot of those American Silver Eagle people that, a lot of those
all
graders,
those
are they even human?
bullying guys. No, those Libertad guys. Those are the worst. It's an ounce of silver. Why are you paying for a reverse proof Libertad in 70?
Some of them, they're beautifully designed.
I mean, it's a beautiful design, but I still don't understand sometimes the premium.
Yeah, everyone has their niche.
Everyone has a niece, and then there's the
mine's
guys.
ancient.
No, yours is the Emperor Probus.
Mine's
that's
specifically
weird.
the Emperor Probus.
Yes, the ancients are normal. The Emperor Probus, why? Why not have someone normal like Aurelian? Well, everyone knows Aurelian and everything. Probus, I mean, the Roman Senate went back and forth with the generals about who's going to succeed Aurelian. I mean, how do we know Probus wasn't the one that set up Aurelian for the death? set up his aide de camp to go lie to the Praetorians and kill
History
him.
may never know.
It may that we
But
may,
what history does know.
is how many licks it gets to take to get the bottom of a Tootsie Pop.
Yeah, I guess. But also, shipwrecks.
Shipwrecks.
See, you like that segue?
Yeah.
Shipwrecks. So I understand you have a lot of shipwreck coins here. So if you want to just,
Sure.
go through and just explain some of them. I know you have quite a few of them here,
actually,
including a horde.
I have one on my neck right now. I mean, you're not truly from Florida unless you got a gaudy gold change with a shipwreck coin around your neck. I got a 4 real from Mexico on my neck that was recovered from the 1715 fleet.
I met David Crooks, who was the vice president and diver for the Mel Fisher Company for the Etosha and the 1715 treasure fleet. He wears an 8 real.
Yep.
Similar fashion across his neck.
I almost decided I'll wear an 8 real. That's it's kind of a little bit too large. And maybe I'll wear an 8 Escudo, but then I don't want to go around looking like a Rob Liberace or something.
But with these shipwreck coins here, what are, how are they recovered, or even. I want to know the grading of them, too.
Oh, yeah. Here, I'll take an example. This one's a local one that's about 20 minutes away from where I live. This is from the Jupiter wreck. It's from the San Miguel was the name of the ship. It sank in Jupiter Inlet in 1659.
In Florida?
In Florida, yes. And it was a lone aviso or merchant ship. And it was traveling to Spain from, I believe, Cartagena, Mexico. And it had it didn't have a lot of coins on it, but the coins it had were very rare. It had what's called the Star of Lima type coins, which are thousands upon thousands of dollars, and a lot of them were on that ship because it was an emergency issue coins when they reopened the Lima Mint in 1659. And they struck them. They sent them on to Spain to go get approval by the king, but it never made it because the ship sank. But this is a 1657 Bolivia 8 real recovered from that. It's a little decent quality. So like this wreck, the way these are found, the wreck was found in 1987 by a local lifeguard, Peter Theo, and the state of Florida is very notorious for, if they can get their hands on it in any way possible,
they will
go ahead. They will go ahead and legally rape you if they have to get their hands on it. They did it to Peter Theo, and Peter Theo actually won the case. But it was a nightmare.
It was a
nightmare. Death by lawsuit is the way I like to describe it. They did it to Mel Fisher with the Etosha in the 1715 fleet. Anytime they find any shipwreck anywhere, especially the state of Florida, anything to get their hands on it. We'll look at the Black Swan Project. A lot of people know it. It's the name of the ship was the Nuestra Señora de Mercedes. It was a Spanish galleon that sank in 1804 when a British warship sunk it off the coast of Portugal. Had tons of gold and silver on it. It was salvaged with permission by the Portuguese government and by, I forget the name of the company, Aquanauts or something of that nature, in 2007. They send the coins to NGC to get slabbed. NGC's halfway through slabbing all these coins. And the Spanish government sues in Florida court and basically says, that is our ship. Those coins belong to us. We demand the coins back. And it went all the way to the Supreme Court. It took 5 years to go all the way to the Supreme Court. And they ruled in the favor of the Spanish government. They sent all the coins on 2 Spanish C-130 military planes back to Spain, and they're on display in Spanish museums right now.
And that's crazy. NGC halfway through, the labor intensive.
I think more. They were 60. Oh, the NGC got paid. Don't worry, NGC got paid. But still, it's one of those oh my, the Spanish government is notorious. They don't mess around when it comes to this stuff.
They want their stuff.
They want their coin. I mean, remember, these coins are being minted from mountains in San Luis Potosi and Bolivia. And then just giant mines in Mexico and gold mines down in Chile and in Colombia. We're talking mountains, we're billions and trillions of dollars. It just they found a couple years ago the wreck of the San Jose it sank in 1707 off the coast of Colombia, somewhere in that area. They found the wreck, and here's immediately what happened. The Colombian government claims it, says it's in our territorial water. 2 American companies who were hired by the Colombian government claim part of it. The Spanish government's claiming it. The British government, which says some of the ships that sunk were ours and some of the treasure it's ours, is claiming it. 2 Native American groups in Bolivia and Peru are claiming it, saying the treasure was stolen from us by the Spanish conquistadors.
So is it all in gridlock right now?
Yeah,
is the ship still under?
The ship's still under. They're suing each other in American court, Colombian court, EU court, British court, and international tribunal court. It's going to be.
It's never going to be resolved.
It's going to be a decade before this is resolved. It's just death by lawsuit. Unless you have the money to go ahead and survive this, it's not to get political or anything here, but that's what Donald Trump would often do. point's not to win the lawsuit. The point's to drive you to bankruptcy, to go ahead and death by lawsuit.
Yeah.
That's the point. It's a slap lawsuit's another name for it. It's no merit, but you're going to spend hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars and everything just defending it, that kind of stuff. And I mean, that's what's going on with the San Jose. It'll be a decade probably before anyone sees any coins from that wreck. Take example, it's a new wreck on the market. I'm the only guy in America that mainly got it. It's the SS City of Cairo. It was a British passenger ship that was sailing from India to England. It had a bunch of Indian British rupees on it. Sank 500 miles south of St. Helena. It was found in 2013. It actually holds a record for the deepest sea salvage ever now at 17,000 feet. It was salvaged in 2011, announced public 2013. They were salvaging it, and what happened? The British government sued them. And part of the court case was the British government got to hold on to the coins until the court case was resolved. Well, accidentally, some of the 99% of the coins were melted down by the British government and turned, and they just took the silver. Accidentally. Wink, wink, nod, nod.
Yeah.
For legal purposes, accidentally. Please don't sue me, British government. And when the salvers won the case, they only got like 20,000 coins out of I think it was like 2 million or 20 million, something like, what are you supposed to do? They're like, oh, sorry. And now they're suing each other for the value of the ones in the British government.
Damage is done. Oopsie.
Oopsie, sorry. And then that's going to be another 5-10 years before and who knows if they even get the money? But it's one of those death by lawsuit. It's
crazy. I mean, at least the ones you have here, some of the other coins you have here are successly recovered shipwrecks too. I mean, you just had the one
the Jupiter shipwreck.
Yeah, the Jupiter
exactly.
one. I know you have.
I have another one here. You have a 8 real recovered from the HMS Lutine, and that's one's actually got a really cool story behind it. The Lutine actually started off as a French frigate that was commissioned during the American Revolution, and did some minor commerce raiding in the Mediterranean of British warships British shipping during the American Revolution. And with the advent of the French Revolution, there was what's called the Federalist Revolt in France, where several cities revolted against the Jacobin rebellion in Paris. Particularly, they were the Girondins, and they took over the city of Toulon, which held the French Mediterranean fleet. And they invited the British Navy in. So the British Navy went in and captured the entire French Mediterranean fleet. Well, guess who is the French general they assigned to go retake the city? And it's his first ever time commanding troops, Napoleon Bonaparte.
No way.
Yes, Napoleon goes ahead, takes the heights overlooking Toulon, sets up his artillery, and starts bombarding the French and British navies over there. So the British took all the French ships and sailed them back to England and pressed them into the British Navy, including the Lutine. So the Lutine then spent all the way up until 1799 part of the British Navy fighting the French. I mean, those were originally built by the French.
That's actually kind of interesting. That's another part of history. You can have it directly linked, coin to a ship, and that ship to Napoleon.
Oh yeah, it's cool. And then so the Lutine was tasked in 1799 to carry £1 million worth of coins to the Hamburg Stock Exchange to prevent it from collapsing. And along the coast of the Netherlands, it struck an uncharted sandbar and sank down. Went down with all but everyone dying except for one survivor. And then it would be salvaged on and off again by the Dutch and then the British. This particular coin was salvaged. I don't have it with me, but it had a little COA from Lloyd's of London, who was the insurer of that wreck back in 1799. Well, in the 1930s and 1920s, because they were the insurer, they technically had the rights to it, and they started salvaging the coins from there.
Yeah, and I want to actually, since you mentioned COAs, we'll show some of these other shipwreck coins quickly in a second, but I want to talk about the importance of the COA.
So COAs matter a lot. I'm very OCD about shipwreck paperwork when it comes to this, and you should be. Anyone can claim a coin is from a shipwreck. I can claim that this coin is from whatever the rarest shipwreck ever. I can claim it's from the Witt. The Witt is one of the rare shipwrecks that had coins on it. It's actually the only pirate shipwreck that had coins recovered off of it. Sank in Cape Cod. Coins from the Witt. Oh my God.
Is that the Wellfleet wreck? Or is that a different one?
Different one.
All right.
Sank in Cape Cod in 1717. And coins from that wreck on the cheap end are $10,000.
Yeah.
I mean,
the importance of COA trying to prove it.
Yeah, exactly. And they're all from
the
salvage company. I have actually, I've never seen a fake Witt, so no one has to worry about that. I imagine anyone trying to fake a Witt is not too smart, to be honest, because there's very few coins recovered off of that wreck. But Speaking of fake COAs, there was actually an instance down by me in Delray Beach and Boca Raton, Florida in the early 2000s. I actually wrote an article for this for Maritime's Shipwreck magazine. It's a company called Gulfstream Rarities. They would fake coins from the Atocha, 1715 fleet. I'm trying to remember a couple of the other ones, like 1810 Fort Pierce wreck, a couple other Florida-esque ones. And they create their own fake COAs with it that were either fake Mel Fisher COAs or their own COAs saying this coin's genuine. And the guy owned a picture framing company as well. So you always see the coins glued to a picture frame with like this green picture frame. It's kind of his way is like, so you can't see its cast because it's glued in there. You're not touching it. The company disappeared around 2003, 2004. I mean, kind of disappeared off the face of the earth. When I was doing my research, like, tried to find him. And he actually, the address listed for the business was a house 5 minutes walk from FAU. So one day I just knocked on the door. Hey, is XO here? Sorry, no, he's not. He doesn't live here. Sorry, bye. And I'm like, okay. So I know he doesn't live there.
Investigative journalism at its finest.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, but I often see tons of them down by me. I probably see at least 2 a month because if you don't know any better, you buy it in a picture frame. You don't want to break open this picture frame. It's somewhat nice. So you just accept that at its face value. And that's how, I mean, most COAs, you can't accept that at its face value, but that the Gulfstream Rarities ones are examples of bad actors. Unfortunately, that's in every single hobby industry where he faked the coins and he faked the provenance.
And I mean, it's something we gotta have like an eye for to see like what a real COA should look like. And I know like NGC and PCGS, they have to have, in order to grade it, to do that shipwreck, they need the COA, or else it's just going to be sea salvage.
Oh, exactly. If you just send in a shipwreck coin if I sent this in without the COA, I had a COA signed by Peter Theo, the guy who found the freaking shipwreck. But if you have, I'll show you an example right now. There's some debate about these, and my personal opinion is they're counterfeit COAs. There's a bunch of Lusayan beach shipwreck coins that got certified by NGC recently. They come with very suspicious COAs that no one's ever dealt in Lusayan beach shipwreck coins knows about, and they just popped out of the blue one day. And I'm of the personal opinion that they are a modern contraption that someone just took sea salvage coins and put the COAs to them. For legal purposes, it's not definitive, but that's my personal opinion. But NGC slab them. I mean, I could be wrong, but I personally do not believe that they're good. I mean, COAs are kind of like the Wild West, right? Who says that it's about who's the salver and everything? But anyone
can make it.
Yeah, anyone can almost make it. Basically, I mean, Sedgwick's the Cadillac of COAs. I mean, you can never question a Sedgwick COA. That is like the top of the line COA. But like for Atocha, it's Mel Fisher COAs. For 1715 fleet, there's like a whole hodgepodge. Like Robert Marks, Mel Fisher, Sedgwick, Steve Hodges. And there's a bunch of other littler guys.
I guess it's just another one of those extremely complicated fields.
Exactly. I mean, for Lusayan Beach, like when I mentioned earlier, that one was salvaged with permission of the Bahamian government and Spink. They come with like those little flip cards, and they come with like a white clamshell box sometimes. They haven't lost the box. That's what the original COAs are for them. Look for the Maravilla shipwreck, sank in 1656 off of Bahamas, in Grand Bahama. That one originally was salvaged by Robert Marks in the 70s, and then Hubert Humphreys in the 1980s, and then you see a lot of them now with Sedgwick COAs. It's just a hodgepodge of COAs. You just kind of got, you're in the market, you got to learn.
Yeah, it's just, and I thought ancients were a complicated field, but it's just as an outsider look onto this niche, really it's just complicated. But it's finding people that
you can
their stuff, they could start to trust. And even then, fake COAs can fool people who have been in the industry for a long time.
Oh, yeah. I've seen COAs before that I go, what? Like, I had to call someone, like, hey, just look at this. Like, am I missing something? This is weird. Like, is this some kind of small little COA done back in the early salvage or something? We'll say there's a great book for particularly 1715 fleet COAs by Robert Westrick. And it shows you the history of COA for the 1715 fleet, which one's good, which one's the different types. Definitely go reach out to him and find it. Robert Westrick is the guy's name. He's excellent. He's still doing shipwreck salvage to this day, actually.
Yeah. So I think we're starting to run out of time. So if you just want to quickly go through the rest of your
sure.
the rest of the shipwreck coins, just saying where they
shipwreck,
are.
well, I do have
or
here.
Horde coins.
I have a horde coin. This is actually we're in New Hampshire, close to the border of Massachusetts. This is a brand new horde that just came out. The Marblehead, Massachusetts horde.
Well, that's very local.
Yeah, very, very local. So what this was is basically old colonial house, couple buys it and starts to do renovation on the kitchen. And they find like a hoard of like 80 coins in the kitchen, like hidden underneath the floorboards. So basically through research through Stax Bowers, they found that the coins were actually owned by, in the house, the house was owned by a merchant who owned it until like 1814. And so all these coins have circulated in early America. I think some of the oldest coins were in the maybe some of the 1750s and all the way up to 1814. It's a lot of French écus, Spanish and Mexican 8 reals.
All of which
British
would have been
coins.
legal tender.
Yes, all legal tender. This coin was legal tender in the U.S. until 1857.
Yeah.
So Mexican coins were legal tender in the U.S. until 1857. Same thing with Spanish coins, French coins, British coins.
This was all American currency at the time.
Exactly. I mean, this is America's earliest history. I mean, now this coin doesn't exactly look too good because it was in the ground for 200 something years. I mean, or longer. I'm not doing the math off the top of my head, but a very long time. You kind of don't. If it was in perfect condition, I think that'd raise more questions than
yeah. But
like,
you could see it was circulated.
Oh, yeah,
it was
circulated.
definitely used in early America in commerce, and you can relate it back to the specific merchant that would have used it.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's a great example of early Americana
and that's
history.
not a shipwreck, and that's interesting because it's a hoard.
Exactly.
And it still goes. 8 rows. Most people know them from shipwrecks, but then you also have some of these other fields, like the hordes.
Early American coins. The American mint and started officially the half Disney was the first coin. Started minting in 1792.
Yeah.
What are you going to do for coins beforehand? You used what was example. There's some merchant tokens around the time, mansions, mills stuff, that kind of. I know. Brasher doubloons are worth like crazy money, but it's like other than foreign coins, it came down to like private merchants basically issuing their own tokens and coins. You should show some other coins I have here that particularly love history with coins. So I have here a 1915 Chihuahua Division del Norte peso. If anyone knows their Mexican history, it's a Pancho Villa coin that was minted by Pancho Villa to pay his army when he was fighting General Victoriano Huerta in the Mexican Revolution.
Oh, that's cool.
Yes, and
it's nice. It looks nice too.
Yeah, it's really
AU-55.
AU-55, and I sold it unfortunately about a month ago. He also made another coin called a Muera Huerta coin. Literally says "Death to Huerta" on the reverse. And if you own that coin, you're captured by soldiers loyal to Huerta. You'd be lined up against the wall and shot. But that's another cool one. I mean, I just love really nice historical coins. Here's a nice 1675 Papal States piastra minted in the Holy Year. Reverse has got the religious iconography with the Holy Door.
And the AU-55 again?
Yeah, I know. I just love actually, that wasn't even intentional pulling out multiple coins grade AU-55.
But still, coins of that age in almost uncirculated condition.
Oh, yeah.
That's a different story than, like, let's say the Marblehead. The Marblehead, it's circulated, but this one, maybe someone put it aside.
Yeah.
Maybe someone collected it, kept it
Well,
put
Papal
aside.
States coins particularly, they often come mount removed where people put them in bezels like I have on around my neck here. So it's kind of rare to see these not...
It's straight graded.
Not to be ex-jewelry or mount removed. For example, like here we got just a really nice Mexican cap and raise. Mexican coins are very popular right now. But I mean, a gorgeous 1884 Chihuahua Mint Mexico 8 real, graded NGC MS64 Plus. I mean, this thing flashes luster like there's no tomorrow. I mean,
I can see that even from here.
Yeah, this thing is just gorgeous, especially for a regional branch mint from Chihuahua. Quality was.
What quality?
Yeah, what quality? Exactly. It's and then here, last coin I brought here. This is a really cool. Everyone loves the Mexican pillars, but not too many people other mint-made pillar dollars. Peru made them, Bolivia made them, Guatemala made them, Colombia and Chile made them. Though Colombia and Chile ones are.
And these are all early to mid 1700s, right?
Yeah. Early, well, this is one's a 1770 Bolivia pillar. 8 real. Yeah, the first pillar 8 reals were minted in 1732 Mexico. I think the last ones were probably minted 1771 Mexico.
Okay, and so that's almost one of the last pillar dollars.
Yeah, almost. So I think this was the last year they minted them in Bolivia. It may have been 1771 as well. I'd have to double check. But I know like Chile, the way these when you took mints like Chile and Bogota they didn't just mint. They only minted them in a couple years. The mintage are like 500, maybe max 1900 minted. And it's like, why? It's like a very weird mintage. Why? They only minted them like when they ever got enough silver. Because Chile, Colombia are very rich in gold, but very poor in silver. So it's like after a couple years, you get enough silver, you strike however many you have enough silver for. That's why like the Colombian, the Chile, and the Guatemala ones are very rare pillar-wise, and they go for a stupid amount of money. I think a uncirculated details clean Chilean pillar 8 real sold in heritage auctions of like $60,000, something like that. Yeah, I mean, some ungodly amount, and for a clean coin too.
Yeah, but I love how we still have these mintage records too, because I know a lot of them are locked away in archives, but we still have access to them, so we actually know how many in these years they minted for the 8 reals, 4 reals, 2 reals.
Yeah.
You know, all these different denominations.
Yeah, exactly. I don't remember the mintage for the 1770 Bolivia 8 real.
I mean, the Bolivias are generally, I know
they're more rare.
Yeah, they're a bit rarer.
They're more rare, so most common, it goes from common to rare, like Mexico, Peru, Bolivia, Guatemala, Colombia, and then Chile.
Yeah.
For the pillar-wise. And then if you want to continue pillar dollars, the Greenland dollar, the Greenland piastra, that's it. The Danish East India Company minted I think 19 coins as a pattern,
as a trial
piece for Greenland, and they copied basically the pillar dollar design. I mean, those are, I don't think one's gone to market since like 2017. It's like 6 figures, some ungodly amount of money.
All right, so I think we're basically out of time here, but I want to give you a chance to first say thank you for allowing me to conduct this interview.
Oh, thank you for having me.
And, I think it's only fair. How about you give a plug to your company, your website, any articles?
WorldCoins South FL, there's my company name. We're very active on Instagram and Facebook and eBay. If you want to check out our website, it's tr.ee/WCSFL. And you can find I've given educational talks for the Numismatic portal. I've written numismatic articles, actually numismatic research, particularly on the sponsine double aureus or sponsine counterfeit.
I'm well aware of that one.
Oh, yes, you are. I'm sure as a fan of Probus, you definitely are. Yeah, how ridiculous a counterfeit is. I wrote, I want to say 30-plus page academic paper.
Yeah.
As my thesis for FAU, which I think my professor kind of regrets allowing me that. I think it's Dr. McGetchen now has the Matthew Tavory rule. You are no longer allowed to go ahead and pick your topic without I popped in his office. Hey, Dr. McGetchen, can I go and do this? He's like, yeah, sure, yeah, you're okay. He didn't really
regret that.
Yeah,
I would have done the same, but yeah, I think he regrets that now.
Yeah, that joke is the Matt Tavory rule.
Yeah. All right, so I think I'll wrap this up.
And then my Instagram, it's world_coins_south_FL. On Instagram, we have over 5,000 followers, very active on there. So if you want to buy any of these, all these coins are for sale on there on my Instagram, eBay, and Facebook. Best pricing is on Instagram. I joke, don't judge me by my eBay pricing. I got to charge eBay idiot tax just because how many crazy people on eBay there is, and they take 13% from you.
But I always look through your stories on Instagram to see what's new.
My stories are either coins, how much the Tampa Bay Buccaneers drive me up a wall, considering that we just lost to the Bills last night, and we somehow nearly pulled one out of the you-know-what if Chris Godwin looked up a second earlier, and just different historical stuff.
Yeah. All right, so this has been Colin and Matthew Tavory from the New Hampshire Coin and Currency Expo in Manchester, New Hampshire. Signing off from Numisphere. Have a good one.
Thank you for listening to the Numisphere podcast. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on the next episode. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Numisphere. Until next time.